You're listening to Off the Court, a show dedicated to making you the best version of yourself as an athlete and as a person. I'm Coach Jack, CEO and owner of Close the Gate Hoops. If you want to take your life and game to the next level, this is the podcast for you. Let's get it. What up, Gatekeepers? Back at you with another episode of Off the Court, episode 11. I cannot believe we have already recorded 11 episodes for this podcast, and the amount of feedback, positive feedback that we've gotten from everyone is truly inspirational, and just hearing about the actual impact and change we can make in someone's life just by listening to this podcast and this knowledge and this motivation. If any of us on this podcast are affecting your life in any way and you're striving to become a better version of yourself, let us know, because that's extreme motivation for us as well, to keep pumping out this content of Close the Gate and to keep aspiring to influence as many people as possible. Recap of last episode, episode 10. We actually had a ton of great feedback with my good buddy Jacob, and just hearing what it's like to be a firefighter, I think was really cool for some kids to hear. We're closing in on 2,000 total downloads, which is absolutely insane. So if you guys could leave reviews on Apple Music, share this podcast with as many people as possible if you've had a positive experience with it, because you're impacting the next person's life that you share it with if it's influenced you. Remember from episode 1, why we're here to make people around us better. So I truly appreciate it if you kept sharing this podcast so we can impact and influence more lives. If you have not checked out our Close the Gate CTG Shooting Academy, I strongly urge you to do so. It's the perfect blend of the knowledge, the drills, and the mindset necessary to become an elite shooter. So today for episode 11, I got one of my good buddies, Ryan, that I met through Tik Tok. He's another basketball trainer who really focuses on the explosive aspect of basketball training, and I've learned a lot from him in how to increase your vertical, and he seems like a very similar person to me, and it's crazy the type of relationships that I've gained since taking over Close the Gate in terms of through online, because I've never met Ryan or Matt in the previous episode in person, but we clicked right away once we started talking through text and on Zoom. And I really think that today's episode, if you're a basketball player trying to take your game to the next level, is going to be really good for you, because you're going to learn how to improve, because that's the biggest gap between really efficient basketball players and just average basketball players. They just know how to get better faster. If you ever watch the MJ Last Dance documentary, they talk about how quickly MJ improved, and everyone gets better, but the most successful players get better faster. So this episode is going to really help you guys how to improve as fast as possible and be more efficient as you train. I'm really excited for this one with my boy Ryan. And if you didn't know, Ryan's got about 23,000 followers on TikTok. So I encourage you to go check his stuff out. And he actually has a vertical program if you're looking to increase your explosion. And it's at Christie Performance. So I'm really excited for this one, guys. Pay attention. Get your notes out. Get ready to be impacted. Let's dive right into it. Why don't you go in detail on what your opinions are on the fastest way to improve a student's game?
I think it comes down to kind of just being able to understand what it takes to be a good basketball player. So first thing for me is always separating the physical and the skill sets of basketball. You know, like when I consider myself and what my title would be, I'm not only a skill development person, but it's also professional performance, or whatever that may be, performance development as well. So just being able to first understand that those two are always going to be separated. That's a big thing for me, because you can go put a ton of work in the weight room and not put any work in on the court, and it's not really going to translate. So doing stuff in the weight room that matters, doing stuff in the weight room that is really easily transversable to the court is really important in my opinion. But then when we get to the court, I think you just got to be able to, again, break it down and then, kind of understand what you need to improve at. So a big thing for me was always like, when I look at a kid, I pretty much have 5 different areas that I want to look at: shooting, footwork, ball handling, scoring, finishing. Those are probably the 5 things that I would look at. And then each of those 5 has different skill sets within those 5 main things that we have. So, I think it really just comes down to a lot of what I've seen over the last few months is like over exaggeration. And that's something I've kind of learned from golf training and like golf skills coaches. And they are huge on rehearsals and over exaggeration, which is really cool because it makes you actually make changes. And I know that you've seen with kids, like the biggest thing is them being comfortable with a shooting change, that they continuously do it over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Well, like you can't have the kid feel robotic when you change a shot. I mean,
Right.
They have to understand what the principle is, but you don't want it to be so uncomfortable where they don't even want to shoot it. You know what I mean? That's
Right.
kind of the principle with the thumb flick. If it's not affecting your shot and the kid just absolutely does not want to change it, then you probably should not change it.
Yeah.
I was watching a video of Drew Hanlon talk about this. He still uses his thumb, and he's training all these people to not use it, which is kind of funny. You know what I mean? But he used it throughout his whole high school career, so he's at the point where he shouldn't even change it. You know what I mean? So a lot of it's yes, you have to get uncomfortable to improve your shot, but you don't want to be too uncomfortable to the point where it's just you don't even want to shoot.
Right. And I think it's funny because when you do these exaggerated reps, especially when it comes to shooting, the kids will actually, and like this is how I get better at my shot because I'm, consistently trying to work on things and I'm trying to elevate my game at the same time. Like I actually will end up shooting better when I over exaggerate and make those changes. And that's almost like another confidence builder. Like, okay, this is something that I really need to focus on and really need to make this change because it's actually going to be for the better of my game.
Well, yeah, kids don't understand that too, because if you're not changing your shot, then that means you're focused on makes or misses. And when you're focused on that, you're going to miss more. But when you actually are focused on just your form, you actually make more because you're not thinking about that make and miss. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
That definitely makes sense.
Yeah, that's one of the first things I learned when I first started training was when I had kids. Because when I go and work out, when I have older guys I work out with, it's all about makes and misses. And because we want to be, shooting real in-game shots, like have pressure on each shot where you have to make a shot to move on to the next spot or whatever. And when I started doing that with younger kids, the one thing that I noticed was that they became so focused on the makes and misses that their form went away. They started shooting the ball worse. They started to get frustrated. So I'm like, okay, we're not at the point where we're just going to not keep track of anything. We're just shooting for form right now. Mm-hmm. And that's something I quickly learned right away.
So I do that with most of my workouts. I'll have a kid, we'll shoot at a spot and I'll do random makes from each spot. Again, you don't want to have too much of an imbalance where you're really good at one spot and not really good at the other. But I have it random enough to where they don't make one and then walk to the next spot because they know they just made it. I'll make sure they're not thinking about makes and misses. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's really important. And then, that's like just like shooting, man. Like there's so many different things. And this is why I love basketball is because there's so many different things that you can work on. There's so many different skills. Like when I say to an average person, hey, we're going to work on dribble timing today and the rhythm of our steps. They're like, what does that even mean? And there's even a lot of really good players that might not even understand those concepts. But if you want to be really good and you watch guys in the NBA, not even the best players, but you watch a guy like Jamal Murray, who is definitely an up-and-coming superstar, but or like CJ McCollum. Like those guys might not even be the top tier of the league, but those guys have all these little skills. Every single thing is in their bag. And that's what's so cool with me, or why for me is just because you can learn and really kind of apply all of these skills once you get into the games.
100%, and innovate as well. Like there's so many moves that haven't been created yet.
Yeah.
And that's so crazy to think about, but there's so many details in the game of basketball, which I think is a big difference between that and any other sport. Like so many details. Like the dribble timing you're talking about. Well, the normal dribble timing is you take 2 steps in between each dribble. But then you can shorten your dribble steps too, or you could elongate your dribble steps. Like there's literally so many different combinations of every little detail. Like it's like a tree line that just keeps growing and growing. Like there's so many things, it just multiplies.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I did like as a kid. Not that I regret it, but I would just have so much fun with like shooting on the gun and just like working on little random things like that. And, maybe that wasn't what I should have been working on. Maybe I should have just been getting shots up and, worrying about that. But I had so much fun enjoying the little small details of the game. That's kind of what led me to this. And now that I'm, I'm growing up and I'm not really playing anymore, like, I see how all those details are really important into the game.
Well, I think as a kid too, being creative is so important. because obviously when you're older, you hear all about like how MJ and Kobe would shoot the same shot like 1,000 times in a row.
Yeah.
They know their game well enough to know what they're supposed to be working on that many
Yep.
times in a row. You know what I mean? As a kid, you still got a lot of stuff to figure out and like what kind of player you want to be and things of that nature. And being
Right.
creative with your footwork makes them like way, way better. And then
100%.
obviously as a trainer, you have to practice all those footworks. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it might not benefit my game necessarily to be doing like a different move every single day, but learning the different types of footwork, that's going to help with other moves. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I like what you said with like with MJ and Kobe too. This is something I'm kind of seeing for myself, like as I start to like play and I play one-on-one or I play and pick up, like what I'm really good at and what the shots that I need to take that I've practiced a lot. But even more so, I've got some guys in college right now that I talk to and we'll do film breakdowns and stuff. And you start to see like how their games have kind of come together. So the shots that they would consistently shoot 1,000 times are a little bit different from Kobe and MJ's, but you can see how each player kind of has that go-to thing that they do. You know, whether that's off the dribble, whether that's pulling up, whether that's a catch and shoot rhythm, like there's so many different things. And I think that's definitely a great point is as you do get older, it's really important to understand your game and understand what you're good at. Because if you're just going out, especially at the college level, doing things that you've never done before, then you're probably going to get ripped and go sit on the bench for a while.
Yeah.
But if you're doing things that, you know, is within your game and you can make those shots, and, you know, that's definitely a good thing.
And I think problem a lot of older kids run into is they think they've mastered a move, so they have to stop working on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can always level up. It doesn't stop. Like there's not a limit
Right.
to how good you can get at a move.
Yep. And there's like, you can add so many different nuances to like even a simple turnaround fadeaway. You can add 6 different things to that where it just becomes almost its own move on its own. And, you know, it's like a conversation, like you said, people just think that, oh, I've gotten good enough at it, I don't really need to work on it. It's like, no, you have to have an ego. Like, I'm not where I want to be. Everything needs to be perfect, whether I shoot 1,000 of them or I shoot 10 of them. Like, I still need to be going over all this stuff every single day.
Well, the smartest people in the world are the ones that think they don't know enough.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They got to crave knowledge, keep learning.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, there's 5 categories that I kind of added on there of the different areas that you could get better. But I think the main thing, and you know this as well as anyone, and this goes out to everyone that's listening as well, is like, yes, it's great to work on all these advanced concepts and do all this stuff. But the main thing is if you aren't putting in time every single day, you know, whether that's even 20 minutes of ball handling, there's literally other people passing you up because of that. And you're just not the best version of yourself. And, you know, being able to understand that, like, I need to be touching a ball or doing something productive every single day if I want to go play Division I or even Division III. That's a huge thing that a lot of people don't understand, especially as kids. It's like, what do you mean every day? Like, I have practice 2 times a week. That's fine. It's like, no, bro, you need to be doing ball handling when you wake up in the morning. That's the first thing that you do. But before you go to bed, you're getting something else in. And that's something my dad, he was a coach my entire life, and he always made it known, like, you get your stuff up every day. You get shots up every day. You dribble every day, whatever that is, even if it's 20 minutes. That 20 minutes is going to help you long term rather than the time that you didn't spend today. So that's the biggest thing. And like I said, I know that you know that, but like all the skills, all that stuff's important. But if you're just not putting in work, then you're never going to see any of that translate.
Well, and the biggest benefit to all that is it becomes a habit. Because most kids, basketball probably stops around 18 years old.
Yeah.
If you develop the habit of that grind, you're going to be good at whatever you do in your life. You know what I mean?
Right. So it's really cool. I work with a lot of 6th graders right now, and a lot of them don't even have habits necessarily. Mm-hmm. So it's really cool to see how fast that they're progressing, because the only habits that we're building is good habits, which is really exciting for me, just to kind of see the progress that they've been making. And also, like, when a kid starts to get good at something, you can kind of see that they start to love it a little bit more. They start to go a little bit harder, which is pretty cool.
And I just think life's already so much different than when we were kids, just in terms of technology and how often kids are on their phones and things of that nature.
It's crazy, man.
It is crazy to think about. Like, where are we going to be in 10 years? You know what I mean?
Yeah, who knows? Maybe we'll be training with like those little like Oculus Rifts or whatever, and that's what we'll be sitting on our living
Google
room
glasses.
training. Yeah.
Yeah, those would be sick.
Augmented reality basketball training.
Did you want to go into a little bit about your college experience, Ryan, and talk about college basketball? Because are you still playing right now, or?
Yeah, so I'm actually not playing right now.
Okay.
So I went to Capital University my freshman year, and so that was in 2019 when Capital was a D3 school in Columbus. And I got to play a lot as a freshman, which was an awesome experience. We were a top 10 team in the nation pretty much the entire season, and then went on to play in the NCAA tournament. So it was a great year. I just really decided that, I didn't really think that it was worth it for what I was paying to go play at that school. So I kind of just wanted to come home, reset myself, work on my game a little bit. I actually planned on walking on at the University of Toledo. That's where I go to school now. And once COVID hit, things got really complicated with that. So now I'm just kind of all in on coaching, skill development, and kind of working on myself too. So, I think college basketball is a lot of fun. And the biggest thing is like all about the situation that you're in, the people that you're around, the culture that the program has. And those things just weren't aligned for me where I was at. And that's not a bad thing. I'm still really good friends with a lot of the guys that I was teammates with, but I needed to find a good place for me. At the end of the day, basketball is really important to me, but basketball is not my entire life, which is a good thing too. So
do you plan on playing again, or do you think you're just going to train?
It's weird. I think about that a lot. Like, would it be fun to go play right now? Yeah, for sure. Especially like I'm in the best shape of my life. I've never been this athletic as where I'm at. Even I feel like my game is definitely way better. So I know I could go pretty much play wherever, but I don't even know if that's in the cards for me at this point. I'm about to graduate college. Maybe I'll just like be one of those guys that goes and plays pro that didn't play college. Is that even real? Like, is that even a thing?
I'm not sure.
It was tough the first the first 6 months not playing. Like, it was like I had a piece of me missing. And that's when I realized like maybe I was taking basketball a little too serious. And, I've kind of been able to balance things in my life now, which is a lot better.
Well, yeah, your grind in basketball translated to training.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen to so many people if they develop the habit of working hard.
Yeah.
But that's, again, you were talking about athletic ability. Basically, every basketball player that's not very athletic and really loves basketball develops that grind because they just weren't given it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to work for it. But it's a gift in itself because now you're doing all this stuff.
100%, man. Yeah, I remember like when I was a freshman in high school, I was 5'2", like 107 pounds. So
that's probably around where I was.
Yeah, man. It's like how was I like expected to go out there and play against these grown men? I was playing against like Xavier Simpson. I don't know if he played at Michigan and he's in the G League now, and he's probably the best player, one of the best players I've ever played against.
Really?
And I'm like, 5 foot, 100 pounds pretty much out here guarding this All-American, and he's like a senior. And at that time, it's like, bro, there's nothing I can do here. Like, I just gotta take the L.
Do you want to go into a little how many like students you have and what a day in the life looks like for you, or? Yeah,
so I'm at currently 9 kids that I work out with throughout the week, which is awesome. My weeks are insanely busy, and that's okay though. With school, that takes up a lot of my time in the mornings.
Yeah.
Once it hits right around like 2, that's when my second part of the day starts, and that's just pretty much all basketball. So, I'm kind of on this athletic journey myself, trying to go through these programs and do all this. So, that takes a lot of time throughout the day and a lot of energy as well. So from 3 to 5, that's usually what I'm doing. And then once 5 o'clock hits, it's pretty much training for the rest of the night.
So how often do you train them a week?
Like myself or the kids?
The kids.
I train pretty much every day. The only day I won't do is Sunday. So I go Monday through Saturday throughout the week, which is it's fun because it keeps me busy. And I really love when a kid can come in and work with me 2 or 3 times a week because I know that kid's going to get better.
Yeah,
a lot of times, like, and I know that you have a lot more kids and you might only see kids once a week. But when you can work with a kid 3 times a week, when I'm doing like ball handling, an entire day dedicated to ball handling or an entire day dedicated to shooting, you know, when I got kids that really want to work, that's what I like to be able to do with them.
No, for sure. Hyper focus is something you hear people talk a lot about. It's hard because kids for Close the Gate keeps growing. But that's why we'll plan on building a facility. But it's just the more gym space you have. Because if you have the availability to work with a kid 3 times a week, it'd be ridiculous how good you could get them. But that's why I hold my kids accountable. I'm like, all the things I show you today, you got to be doing the rest of the week. You know what I mean? Because I don't like to repeat drills at all, because I want this kid to learn as much as possible, but then he has to apply it. Because most of them are once a week right now, mainly because we have 80 plus kids right now.
Wow.
And we're starting to do more group stuff now, which I think will help a lot. Mm-hmm. Individuals, in my opinion, are only necessary if a kid needs like true shot change. You know what I mean? Like, you got to be looking at their shot every 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Otherwise, having 3 or 4 kids listening to you at the same time is just as efficient.
Right. I definitely agree with you on that, because I got a lot of kids are like these 6th graders, this group of 6th graders I have, who are all individual right now. And I'm really close to being able to turn them loose and have them all go together, which I think would be awesome, just because when you're working out with other people, it pushes you a little bit more. You get to see where you're at a little bit. But I think you definitely have to be at a certain point where you can handle a group workout before, you know, you start doing it. Because when you're like all into it, like you said, I don't want to be looking at your shot every 3 seconds when I got 5 kids with me.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's where all the work comes in before, when we're doing the individuals, so that you can kind of get to the point where you're ready for a group.
Well, and you can work with live defense too. You know, 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-3. There's so many different drills you can do out of that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And like, I love skills training and all that stuff, but if there's one good way to get good at basketball, it's by playing.
Yeah, exactly. Pick up. I do that all
just
the time.
play, man. Yeah.
Do you play any of your students in 1-on-1? Do you have any? You have high schoolers, don't you?
Yeah. I usually play like with my college guys too, which is fun. And those always get really competitive.
Yeah.
High school guys, I'll play, and I think it's good for high school guys, especially like I have a freshman right now who he's going to be really good, and I think he just kind of needs to see the level that he can elevate himself to. So like, not to say that I'm like some all-star or something, but when he gets in the gym and sees how hard I work, you know, like the body positions that I get into, the things that I do, like when I'm shooting the ball, I think it's really good for him to see that and then kind of translate that for himself also. And that's why I really like, you know, like I'll even play 1-on-1 against my little 5th grader, one of my 5th graders that I have, just because like he's not playing against 1-on-1 against anyone else. So why not go play 1-on-1 with this kid? Like I said, that's the best way for kids to get better. And it's crazy because he's getting really good at all the drills that we do. And then we go into 1-on-1 and it's like he's a completely different player. And that just shows like the things that you need to be able to do have to translate to the game for sure.
Well, the reason that doesn't translate a lot of times too is because when you do a drill, you know what you're going to do, right? You get in 1-on-1, you don't know what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm really trying to research right now, is the psychology behind like when you actually play, because it's a completely different psychology than when you train. You know what I mean? Because you're like, if you're doing a 1 dribble pull up, you know you're going to dribble there. So your acceleration and deceleration is going to be a little different than if you're driving and didn't know you were going to go and pull up. Right. You know what I'm saying? I think that's learning about the brain. I think is going to be the next step into training in terms of like shooting mentality and things of that nature. That's something I think will break through, because you could take a guy you could have one player that's really good at shooting, but they have this little mental block. Like if they make 2 or 3 in a row, they're like, all right, I made 2 or 3 in a row. And then they start thinking about it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you could take a decent shooter, but his mentality is he just keeps going. Like he doesn't know what's going on. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's got to be genetics, because I definitely have that. Like I can get to a zone where I literally will throw up the worst shot in the world, but it'll go in because I'm just like, it's a feeling. You know what I mean?
Right.
That has to be a gene, because some kids have it and some kids don't. And there's definitely a way you can train it. I have no idea how that works.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to, and this is kind of like a societal issue as well, is just like how short our attention span is and how like
Yeah.
we expect everything instantly, like with social media, or, you know, with like we even have like same day delivery with Amazon. Like I think that translates to everything, because one of the other things that I've noticed that has really changed for me is that level of focus for myself. Because like you said, like I started to learn about like Kobe and how intensely focused his mind was throughout his workouts. And when I think you can be locked in and know how to get to that zone, that's a big thing, is knowing how to get into that space. Then from there, it's just about maintaining it. But that's a really big thing. And it not only translates to basketball, but it translates to every sport too. And I talk about golf a lot because I work with a golfer and I do play a lot of golf. And like golf is one of those things that it's so challenging because you have to be in that zone for 4 hours straight, which is why I love it. Because it really does push you. But I think that goes for working out when I'm shooting on the gun, or if I'm getting shots up, like how focused can I get in right now? Like how locked in can I get to the point where like it's been an hour and I don't even know what time it is anymore.
Yeah, and that's why I preach meditation. Do you meditate?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely something that's helped me. And I can even tell when I read a book. Like I used to read one page and I'd have to reread it because, you know, my attention span was nothing. Now I can get lost. Like my reading speed is ridiculous now because I started meditation. But that just shows the proof of increased focus.
Well, I think a lot of meditation just comes to like being calm, controlling your breathing, you know, being like in a really relaxed state. If you're all jacked up and like so intense, it's going to be hard for you to like find that Zen mental state. And that's something that I used to get so fired up before games, like, you know, yelling, screaming, jumping around, just like ready to get after it because I was so excited to play. So like, can I fault myself? No. Going back, the mindset that I would be in is just like relaxed, deep breathing, you know, just chilling, waiting to get out on the court and ready to get after it. Because I think a lot of the issue that I kind of hyped myself up too much to the point where I got in the games and it was just so fast. Everything was just so fast that like I couldn't slow it down for me.
Yeah.
But like meditation, I think teaches you how to control your breathing and how to like relax and just like calm down a little bit, you know?
And I've been putting my number in the Tik Tok description lately, and that was a good choice and a bad choice at the same time because my phone's been on just ridiculous number of text messages. A lot of the questions are about being nervous before a game. And that's the same thing. Like they're just thinking way too much. You just gotta say screw it at some point and I know it's hard because when a kid puts in so much work, they care almost too much.
Yeah.
And when you care too much, you're not going to perform well. And I'm not saying don't care, but you have to be ready to accept if you have a bad game or a good game. You know what I mean?
Right. Because, yeah, man, it's just like so crazy to think about too, just because how it really all comes from problems society has created. You know, like you have a bad game, like, okay, well, you know, what are you going to do about it? You know, Kobe talked about that in one of his interviews. He's like, oh, you played bad? Like, okay. You know, like that was yesterday. What are you going to do about yesterday? You have right now. What are you going to do right now to get better? Right? Are you going to go put in shots before school or after practice or, you know, do something different? Like, it's like we get so caught up on like, oh, I had a bad game. I'm depressed for a week. Everyone's talking to me about it. Like, oh, you'll be okay. You'll be okay. Like, no, like a bad game's a bad game. You know, like people have that, shots don't fall, whatever. But it's crazy that I think a lot of these issues actually stem from like how high pressure society is as well.
Well, yeah, everyone's focused on results. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? You got
right.
If you just focus on the journey, a result will be 5 times better because you're hyper focused on how to improve faster. Then the results can be way better. You know what I mean?
Right. I have a little story about that because I had a kid that literally just started playing basketball and we'd been working together for like 4 months now. And he's really coming along and like he's starting to be able to really shoot the ball, starting to be able to like have more range, finish at the rim, handle the ball a little bit. And recently he's gotten really focused on like how good I can be. and seventh grade tryouts next year and all this end result stuff. And I wanted to preach to him like, yo, like, remember when we first started, your main focus was the process and about how good you could get and all this stuff. And like, I don't know, I think it just goes to show, like, even in that situation, I had to pull him aside and say, yo, Brad, like, remember where our mindset is right now. Like, you're getting frustrated and all this, like, where we're not even close to scratching the surface of where you could be. So let's get our mindset back here, back to right now, and let's get back into work rather than worrying about who I'm going to be in 3 months when tryouts come along.
And like, that's a great example. I had a student, she's a freshman right now, she's a baller, but one of her main motivators was scoring 1,000 points. And I was like, if all your focus is on scoring 1,000 points, she's good enough to, I know she's going to get there, right? But if all her focus is on her growth and how fast she can grow, she's going to kill the record. You know what I mean? That's where the focus is, right? It's the journey. It's not the result. And what you're saying about stemming from society, it's all about results. You get an A, all right, you're really good. You get an F, not so good. Even though the A probably didn't learn anything and the F didn't learn anything either, right? It's the same thing.
Right. What's your main goal with all this? Like,
Close the gate?
Yeah, with Close the Gate and just like your online profile and everything, because, and I'll explain why I'm asking this question, but I just want to hear like what you want to be able to provide and like what your main goals are with it.
Well, I had a CTG meeting with the other kids or employees I have right now, and the thing I wrote at the top was was to influence as many lives as possible. Because my dad was a huge influencer to anyone he ever spoke to. And I think I can touch a lot of people, not just basketball players, through the art of basketball training. But at the same time, it's life coaching. Because yes, I'm trying to get these kids as good as they can be as fast as possible. But 90% of them aren't even going to play past college basketball or even to that point.
You could even probably say like 99% of them.
Yeah. And so all the things that they're going to learn, though, those lessons of how to work hard, how to focus on the journey, how to not think about results, things of all that nature, which is talked on this podcast, I think is the biggest motivator for me. But obviously the plan is I'm trying to get a facility up as fast as possible. I still don't know if I'm going to play college basketball again. But if I don't, then I'm going to build a facility as quickly as I can. Because once you get one up, the growth after there will just be like a rocket. Yeah. But obviously I'll try and scale it. I'm a business guy, so I'm going to try and scale it as big as I can, but without losing quality. So obviously whoever runs these facilities and wherever they are, I got to trust them that we're on the same wavelength. Right. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
But yeah, I would say the goal right now is growth as fast as possible.
Yeah. Well, I think it's just weird, and not weird, just like different, because I've had like a lot of people like just in public that have like my buddies or like mutual friends like, hey bro, I saw you on TikTok, like that's awesome and all this. And I'm like, I don't really know how I feel about it because I'm not like a big social media guy. I don't want to like be posting myself, which is sometimes hard to do. And like, I don't want to come across as like I have this ego and all this stuff. So, I guess the reason I ask that is like, because that's my main thing. Like, I really could care less about what I look like, what people think about me. Like, my main thing is like, how can I provide enough influence that like I have kids, like when they go to the gym, like they pull up my TikTok page and like, that's how they go through their workout. Or like kids are actually implementing things that like the videos are talking about. And that's what I want it to be about. And I think a lot of people get confused, like, oh bro, you got so many followers on TikTok. Like, that's so awesome. You're like an influencer or whatever. Like, yeah, I don't really care about that. Like I have no ego with this. Like, I just want to be able to help give good basketball instruction, because I think there's a lot of bad basketball instruction out there. And I know we've talked so much, like I know what you do and I agree, like you have good basketball instruction, and that's what it's about, man. It's about like changing this coaching. Like I think we're in like a period where it's like there's a lot of really good and like a lot of really bad, but it's like evolving. And like I think if anyone's going to be people to evolve it, it's going to be guys like me and you that are a little bit younger that have a really good chance to kind of influence a lot of people. So I love your answer for that.
And I think a lot of it's intention too. Majority of people on social media, the reason they want to get a bunch of followers is so they're cool. You know what I mean?
Right.
They want to get people talking about them. They want to be the center of attention. But obviously, from my perspective, I want a ton of followers on our TikTok and Instagram, but then I can provide more value to more people.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's the reason. It's not to look cool. It's not to, feel like you're on top of the world. It's because you can literally influence more lives with the more followers and likes you get on certain things.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's the big takeaway from me.
Definitely, bro. I agree. And I think that's important because as soon as you start worrying about followers, and once that's your main goal, then that's where things start to go a little bit bad for you. But if you can continue to keep that mindset of like, hey, I'm in this to help people, I'm in this to educate and like actually provide something that's useful and not so much about myself, I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and I think honestly, the people that think that way, majority of them always are the ones that actually make it, the viral pages and stuff, because they provided value every single day consistently to their followers, and that's why it just kept growing.
Yep.
You know what I mean? What about you? What are your goals with your training?
My main thing is to get a facility too. Like,
so where do you do yours right now?
So my dad's got an old coaching friend that I've known since I was a little kid. He's got like a little barn that it's like a little half court. And so that's where I've been actually training a lot of my kids at. Pretty much everything is gone through there, which has been great because it's only me in there. Like, it's private. I don't have to worry about anyone. I can do whatever I want, which is great. But my main thing is to have a place in the next 2 years where it's my own. Like, I love just being able to spend the entire day in the gym. Like, if I can just hang out and it was my own gym, like give me a little TV in there, like some type of nice comfy chair, and like I'll be in there all day. That's fine with me. So I hope that I can get something like that soon. There's not really any like place like that here in Toledo, which I think is awesome because I think just one place and one person that is doing it the right way could have a huge impact. So I'm really excited to kind of get moving forward with that. I still got to finish school maybe, which is tough. But maybe. Like, yeah, I guess, I try to like do everything so fast paced. Like, I want it to happen now because I know that this is my passion, but I got to figure out some other things along the way before I can just like jump right into putting my entire life savings into like a gym,
Yeah. Yeah. That, and I mean, you're already, what did you say? You said you're a semester away or
two semesters.
2 semesters. Yeah. So, I mean, when you're at that point, you probably should just, you've already spent so much money on it, right? And it can be so frustrating, but you don't want to then regret not finishing those last 2 as you're going through school.
And it's nice, like everything's online right now, so I don't really have to do much. Just like as far as leave my house, I can kind of just do school here.
Yeah.
Which is cool, and it allows me to be flexible with my schedule, which is also good. So.
But I feel you on the college thing. It's tough. And that's why I think college takes advantage of people that don't know what they want to do. You know what I mean? Because if you don't want to know what you want to do still after like 2 years of college, then you've gone through all these general classes for nothing.
Right.
But once you do find your passion, it's like you kick everything else to the curb and it's like tunnel vision.
Right, locked in. And it's fun that way too. Like,
like people don't understand. I wake up excited every morning. Well, like today I woke up at 4 a.m., but I was literally right when I opened my eyes, I was jacked just because I knew I love waking up early because I can be so productive because no one's distracting me. But those first 4 hours a day, I love just because I know I'm going to get so much done. But like that feeling I never had with school or any of the college classes I went to, nothing to that extent.
Right. And that's probably why you are able to wake up so early and like be excited about it. It's because you are doing something that you love. If you were doing anything else, it would probably suck. Oh,
for sure. Yeah. I probably would have went back to bed.
Right. It's funny because I got this new band. It's called Whoop. I'm wearing it right now. And it's like a fitness tracker. And I've been trying to slowly creep my wake up time like 30 minutes earlier every day. And dude, if I could wake up at 4 a.m. every day, I would love that. Seriously, that would be awesome.
Well, I normally take like an hour nap during the day too if I get less than 6 hours of sleep. But it's definitely a habit. Like I've been waking up at like 5 since freshman or sophomore year of high school, just from basketball, and now it's translated to
every day.
educating. You know,
I definitely agree. Like you got 3 or 4 hours before people are even up to just grind.
That's why it's such an advantage. It's just nothing on your phone. You're just zoned in.
Yeah, I'm gonna start doing that. I think you just inspired me, bro.
That's awesome. See right there.
That's the goal, right?
Influence, baby. Oh, that's awesome. Normally we do like a quick speed round at the end. Ryan, do you want to think of a few questions? If you could read one book for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a good question. I have this book. It's right in front of me, actually. It's called Mastermind. And it's about Sherlock Holmes and the way that he thought and the processes that his brain went through when he was going through these cases. And it's just really cool to, like you talked about earlier, talking about how like training is going to kind of more so focus on like the brain and all that stuff. That is awesome for that purpose. Just like how to remember things, how to like stay organized, stay disciplined. Yeah, that's something that I'd love to read every day.
I've heard of that. That's actually, I wrote it down. I'm going to read it.
Yeah, you definitely should, dude.
The second question I'll ask you is, what's the best piece of life advice someone's ever given you?
Live with no fear, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
For like a basketball standpoint, I cared too much, like we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of my nervousness and fear, quote unquote, kind of came from that. And once I started just like to worry about like right now, we only have control of right now, and just like doing whatever I want to do. Like this is my life. So like just doing what I want to do. You know, once I started living that way, I just became way happier with myself and like the person that I was becoming.
For sure. I tweeted the other day, we do inspirational quotes like every day. But it was number one thing that holds people back is fear. Like that's fear is normally turns into regret. And regret's like one of the worst things you can have. You know what I mean?
Like the worst, man.
But that's really good. No fear. All right. Last one.
I got one for you. If you could have a shoe deal with any company, who would it be?
That's a good one. I would honestly say Adidas. I've been rocking with Adidas for a while.
Really?
I rock with Adidas. Probably majority of my shoes have been Adidas, I would say.
I'm looking right now. Actually, I have one pair of Adidas right now.
Really?
Some Damian Lillard ones. Aurora Borealis limited edition pack, but whatever.
What shoe would you rock with then?
You know, I kind of like Puma, man. I
Really?
kind of like Puma. Like, I could be with Chris Brickley. I like how Puma has like got like good style.
Mm-hmm. They're different.
Yeah. That or like I kind of do like Jordan too.
Yeah,
just
Jordan.
like Jordan's. Yeah, just like Jordan. You know, like that's real hoops right there.
I probably would have said that one too.
Who's your all-time starting five?
Oh, all-time starting five or top?
You know, like not even like who you think is the best. Like 5 players in your lineup that like you just have loved to watch over the years.
I've loved to watch. So like we're picking favorites, not top 5 all time.
Yeah, let's pick favorites. That's more of a true gauge of like who you are, in my opinion.
Okay. Right now for point guard, I'd probably go Damian. I love Damian Lillard. 2 guard, I'll go with I can't even pronounce his name. You remember Abdul from the Nuggets? Yeah, Abdur Rahim on the Nuggets. But you watch he was an inventor of footwork for his time. Like he was doing moves that people do today and think are sweet, and he was doing them like 20 years earlier. I love watching film of him. Small forward, I'd probably go with Manu Ginobili. I also love watching film of Manu. He's, again, his footwork is ridiculous.
Right. I love that he's a lefty too. That's why I'm a lefty.
I love that he's a lefty. I've always thought he's really underrated. He's kind of like forgotten because of Tim Duncan and Tony Parker.
Right.
Power forward, I'd probably go with Giannis. I love Giannis. Milwaukee Buck fan. You're not a big Giannis fan?
No, I am not.
What's your favorite NBA team?
Like it was the Cavs, and then LeBron went to the Lakers.
Big LeBron fan.
I love LeBron. You know, Northwest
Are
Ohio.
you MJ or LeBron?
Yeah, I still don't know. I still
Come
don't know.
on,
And
bro.
here's the reason why. I think as far as like the greatest gamer of all time, Jordan for sure. But you cannot deny the greatness that LeBron has.
Oh, for sure. He's really
And
good.
like this might be the best season he's ever had. And so I don't know. I think like if you had to ask me, hey, you got one game, like you got to pick one guy, anyone in the world right now to go play, and there's like $1 million on the line. Who you picking? Like I'm probably gonna pick LeBron or Jordan for sure. Just go carry me, Michael.
Have you watched The Last Dance?
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah,
That was
dude.
like the prime of my life.
I can't watch that and say LeBron's better.
Jordan was just so skilled, man. He was so skilled. He had all the footwork. He had all the shots. Like he was it, man. He was it.
He's just a winner.
He's
He
a
just
winner.
literally would win. Like at all
LeBron's
costs.
a winner too, though.
I mean, I'm not saying LeBron's not a winner, but I don't know. Something about MJ's mentality and legacy, I don't think LeBron has.
Yeah, I think MJ was just like really, really, really skilled. LeBron's 6'9", 240 and runs a 4.4 and has
he's
45.
the greatest athlete of all time.
Yeah, legit. So that's what it's like with Giannis too. I don't like Giannis because I think Giannis has such a physical advantage that like it takes away from like, you know, he probably is really skilled, but like when I watch a guy like Kyrie and then I watch Giannis or KD versus Giannis, I'm like KD is way more fun to watch for me because of the skill that's involved.
Yeah, I can see why you'd say that. I'm a Milwaukee Buck fan, so.
Right, you're just like a Milwaukee guy, huh?
Uh-huh.
How far do you live from Milwaukee?
Like an hour and 30, probably.
Gotcha. Nice.
And then to top off my favorite five, I'd probably go Wilt, the Stilt at center.
Go.
Uh-huh. I love Wilt. But that would probably be my favorites. Why don't you give us your top five favorites, then we'll wrap it up.
Point guard, I got to go Steve Nash.
Okay.
Shooting guard, Kobe.
Mm-hmm.
I love Kobe. Small forward, I think I got to say LeBron. Power forward, Carmelo.
Okay, that's a good one.
I love Carmelo. I think Carmelo has his mid-post game is so intriguing to watch, and if you really pay attention to the things that he does, it's so impressive, and no one can block his shot, and it's just so pure. I hated when people were slandering Melo's name. I'm like, this guy's a legend, you know.
Yeah.
This guy's he's like right there. Like if he's on all the teams that LeBron was on, like who knows what Melo could be right now.
Mm-hmm.
5, give me Zydrunas Ilgauskas.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's one that a lot of people might not know.
You're going Kobe over MJ for favorite?
Yeah, I got to go with Kobe. I watched Kobe, you know.
Yeah.
I never got to see MJ play.
I wish I could watch MJ in a real game.
I just wonder what he'd look like. Like he probably just like floats when he walks. Like, he doesn't even touch the ground.
Just levitated.
I wonder what it's like when he walks into a place. Like people just got to turn and just like, oh my God.
That's why it's even more impressive how famous he was, because there was no social media.
Yeah, he was like the most famous person in the world.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Well, thanks for coming on the podcast, Ryan. We'll definitely do a part 2 or something.
No doubt.
And hash it out, but stay in touch. Sound good?
For sure, brother. We will. Yeah, we'll talk soon. I'm happy to be able to come on. Like I said, I love your vision and I love what you're trying to do and your goals with everything are, because it's just like mine. So just to be able to do this together, I think is awesome.
You too, brother. Peace out.
Thank you, gatekeepers, for listening. Make sure you're staying up to date and have listened to every single podcast. Please rate us on whatever platform you're listening to this on to be submitted into our Review of the Day contest. This is where we'll give you a shout out if you give us a review and we can talk about you on the podcast. The reviews will help whatever platform you're listening to it on reach a wider and global audience. That's what it's all about, trying to impact and influence as many lives as possible for the better. If you have been a part of Close the Gate and have been following along for our journey, do not be afraid to submit testimonials. They can be video or text. This will help others see how much true change Close the Gate can make in a life. We love as many questions as possible for new topics to talk about. Don't be afraid to reach out to me, Coach Jack, at jackhummel12@gmail.com, or text me 608-201-7384. We want critique. Always strive for the better. You are never too good at something. You can always contact us about literally anything. We're always going to be here for you. Lastly, if you like this episode of Off the Court, please take a screenshot and share it with whatever social media platform you're on to be entered into a contest so that we can notice who's listening to this and whose lives we're impacting and if what we're giving you is what we want, because that's what it's all about. We're here to solve your problems, what your biggest desires and answers want to be. Thank you guys so much. Stay tuned. We're going to keep feeding you this free education and content. It's going to keep coming. We are not going to stop. I'm Coach Jack. Thanks for listening, Gatekeepers. I'm out.
Peace.